Greetings, I'm Mark with Unlimited Story, unlimited-story.com, a channel dedicated to writing, world building, marketing, and most importantly, getting things done. But lately it's been Kindle Vella, like strictly. Anyway, in this video I am interviewing Audrey Carlan. Who is Audrey Carlan? She is a New York Times, USA Today, and Wall Street Journal best-selling author, like #1 kind of best-selling author. She also has a show coming out on Passionflix, which I have no idea what Passionflix is, but I'll leave all the links and other information in the description below. We are going to be going over her story, The Marriage Auction, which is the #1 story on Kindle Vella right now. We're going to be talking about basically what's happening in the story, kind of how it got its place on Kindle Vella, like on the top, and then, just things about her, how she writes, why she writes, stuff about the platform. We kind of cover all the bases. So definitely stay to the end because I ask her a bunch of random questions, and it's always fun to get to know the people writing the story besides what they write and what they do. I like to get to know people. So definitely stay to the end. Kick back, relax, enjoy the show. Greetings, everyone. My name is Mark, and I am here with Audrey Carlan. Hello, Audrey.
Hi, guys. So happy to be here.
Yeah, and Audrey is the author of The Marriage Auction, which has been dominating Kindle Vella for a very, very long time. And I'm going to be going over it right now. So, Audrey, what was your goal with The Marriage Auction? Like when you were first conceptualizing it, because I know you said you had a few other ideas what you were going to put on here.
Yeah.
What got this all started?
You know what? My agent had contacted me when people had met with all of the agents. Of course, they're planning a new platform. They meet with the agents and they say, hey, we're doing this cool new thing. It's serialized fiction. Do you guys have any authors you want to recommend us and let us know or talk about? And my agent, Amy Tannenbaum, she contacted me, was like, Audrey, seriously, this new Vella thing is for you. It is your vibe. It's your wheelhouse, because I wrote Calendar Girl, which is a serial saga of about 4 full-length novels that are like 450 pages a piece around there. So it's huge. I mean, it's like 500,000 words, maybe more. And then right after that, a year or two later, I did International Guy, which was the same huge saga. And so I'm kind of primed for that, writing in shorter novella-sized books or even episodes, and then doing it for a very long time, for a stretch. So those two books, those two series, lasted 2 years of my life. I was writing for 2 years of my life. So to me, Vella is just an extension of that muscle that I already have. And it just worked for me. I was like, oh, I'll give it a shot. But I had to have something that I felt that would sustain quite a long time, like Calendar Girl or International Guy did. Someone who was on a journey. They, in Calendar Girl, she's, trying to save her father's life. And she's doing that by being an escort, by being a companion to these different men each month. And so what I used at that time was all of the different places I had been through the nation. And I, shared some of those beautiful facts, as well as took this woman on a journey. And so I felt like I had to find the right thing that would suit this particular platform. And I had dabbled in a paranormal idea. I dabbled in a social influencer idea, but it didn't ring true for me. It didn't feel like it was something I could sink my teeth into. And then I realized I didn't want to write about one person, and that was the problem for me. It was, I needed more content. I needed more drama, more conflict in order to keep me interested to write at least 2 episodes a week. I needed more characters. So I had 6. And then I talked to my agent and my editor, and they were both like, no, this is too many point of views. Cut it down. So I did end up going with the primary point of views of 4 women in the beginning. And then I kind of, as it grows, the readers will see that you now get the male's perspective as well as the females. So you're getting a lot of both. And it's all about each couple's journey.
All right. And how is this going? Because obviously, as an author, we're like, this is what we're going to do. And then stuff happens. Like you're working, you're like, oh, I got to put this in.
Oh,
is it kind of following the plan, or you going for detours all over the place?
All over the place, detours. It's every day I come up with a new idea for one of the characters. And usually I spend a couple days of the week thinking about the next one that I'm going to write. So I start thinking about little scenes and what's going to happen next. And then I'm like, oh, that's it. That's what's coming next. And I'm able to write that out, be excited about it, put it out to the readership, and then I can enjoy their response.
And so far, everyone's been super happy, right?
It's been good so far. I'm sure they go up and down with whether they like characters or don't like characters, or their Team Faith versus Team Savannah or whatever it is. But I like that it changes. That's the most exciting, is they have their favorites, but then they're rooting for the underdog, which is really fun.
Yeah, I completely agree, because I've been working on that too, where I have multiple perspectives, and I want people to be like, I love this one, but man, they get in there to the other character and they just, how they interact, or there's something about this one's personality, but even though they may like the other, and I just love that.
Connects with them, it's you have to find things that connect with your readership, and you need to know what your readership looks like, and that's, I think, why the marriage auction is doing well, is that the particular readers that are going for serialized fiction like this version of bite-sized information, and they get something out of each episode. It's not like, oh crap, I'm gonna have to wait 3 months to find out what happened on that cliffhanger.
Exactly.
They're getting the end of that person's experience, that clippy.
Well, exactly. And when you're writing a full, obviously a full novel, and you kind of leave it on a cliffhanger because there's going to be part 2 or the next one in the series, then they're waiting for a year and they're cursing your name.
Yep, absolutely.
Not like people would ever do that. So let's go into this. I mentioned this before. You intentionally laid this out. You have this monster hook at the end of episode number 3. What was going through your mind when you're laying out, because obviously episode 1 and episode 3 are the most important episodes in a novella. Talk about kind of your thought process when you were laying this out.
From an author perspective, this is also business. And I try to keep that in mind, that as much as I want to focus on my art and my craft, that I also have to sell this. And in order to sell this based on the platform, once you're done with the first 3 episodes that are free, you've got to have something that hooks them into wanting to pay their tokens, their hard-earned tokens, their dollars, on episode 4. And that's a really important for any author that's going to go into this fellow program, is that those first 3 episodes are there for you to hook the reader. And if you can't hook the reader and get them into buying episode number 4, you're going to lose them right there. They're going to go on to the next story. And the odds are they will not come back to yours. And I have that too. I don't want to say that, every single person that's reading mine are clicking through. They're not. It's enough of them are to get. So I don't feel bad if you don't capture every reader from that 3rd to the 4th episode, or even 5th to 10th episode. There are people going to drop off. This is bite-sized information. They can come back to it. They can also pause. I have people that are like, you know what? I've got to focus on my studies this week. I will not be reading, but I can't wait to get back. And I'm going to have 2 episodes ready to go for me, and it'll be a boon. So some people are waiting once in a while. Their lives get busy. They take a break, or they're like, I'm not feeling this right now. I'm going to go read, another story. And then maybe they'll come back. They're like, no, I want to go back to my marriage auction. It's there for them. And that's what I think is really cool, is that just because somebody didn't continue per se doesn't mean they're not going to come back to it and try again.
Yeah, and 2 things with that. I mean, this is, of course, serialized fiction. It's basically like a written version of a TV series. 100%. And exactly. And that's how people need to see it. Like, I don't always get caught up on my favorite shows. Again, things happen. You can only set aside an hour. But the brilliant thing about this is you've mentioned, hey, I got some free time in a parking lot or whatever. I'm just waiting around. Hey, 15 minutes here. Same with me. I was getting my car worked on. I was like, I can knock out a couple episodes right now. And it just works great on mobile. And actually, I was taking notes on the marriage auction because I've been reading the first 4, and I was just looking at kind of the drop off on likes, and I was like, no one should really feel bad. I mean, okay, your first episode got 860 reads. That's awesome. And then it just starts tapering off. It's not that. It has nothing to do with the actual craft, because obviously you are a professional author. You have how many under your belt of just full length novels? 34. Is the nature 34. There you go. Is the really nature of the beast. So But a completely different thing that that kind of comes up between serial fiction, they're paying by the piece and they could drop off. When you're buying a full-length book, right, you've bought the whole thing. So you got, from the author's perspective, you've already got all the money and everything's been invested. So now you just read at your own pace. So we don't get to see how fast they're reading or where they get caught up. In this situation, we get the immediate feedback.
People forget to click. I mean, I went through, because I'm reading, I've wrote this many times, Bugged by Kelly Chase, just because I'm really fascinated with that particular story. I will forget to go click like, and then I'll go back and I'll be like, oh wait, I didn't click like, I gotta go back and click it. And it's because I know as an author that that's really important to the people that I'm reading, but not every reader does. They're busy. They're moving at the speed of light. The fact that they even unlocked your episode is a win. And I really want to encourage all authors to focus on the unlocked episodes more so than the likes, because if they unlocked it, that means they've given you their money. They have committed to you regardless of whether they remembered to click that little thumbs up.
So the counter to that, though, and this is the marketing perspective, for someone to acquire new readers, they're looking at what are the likes, what are the crowns, and like those are the things that we're running into, and it's tricky. But I mean, you're absolutely right.
I think it's going to continue to change, Mark. I think it's going to be one of those things that Amazon is so new. I mean, if you guys watched Virginia Milner's YouTube on the Dale Roberts show, she's
I totally did
this, and she basically said to this program, this is day one to them. So for us, we're a few months in. To them, it's still like shiny and sparkly and hasn't even really been launched in the stratospheric way that Amazon can launch it. So the fact that they're taking the time to not only pay authors for free episodes, pay for the 200 tokens and unlocked, and they're continuing to promote all of us and give us space on their website and things like that is pretty fabulous. So I'm looking forward to the time when this is also, so easy through your Kindle device. It's international. I mean, all of these are my dreams, is because I know all of you guys want international readership to be opened. And I am a huge fan of that plan because my readership is very strong overseas. So I would love for that to happen. But think about it. And we're all in the first phase. This is really step one to them. If we hold out and hold strong and keep building the platform, it's only going to behoove all of us to participate in this.
I agree. It's definitely one of those things where we're in the very starting stage, and hopefully we can all kind of build with it. That's one of the goals. So let's get back into your story. Let's talk about your big four characters. We got Faith, Ruby, Dakota, and Savannah. Give me just real brief. What are you trying to kind of achieve in your mind, like with each one of these four gals?
I really definitely always want to show the journey of an individual character, of what, they've been through, where they are, where they're going. And that's something I always focus on in my work. It's the same with the hero. Why are they in the auction? Where are they going with it? What do they want to get out of it? And every single person's is different. And whether it's intriguing to you or not is, we're going to find out. So that's really just the muse, is throwing crazy shit out there and seeing what hits. Every author has that. They, some people connect to Faith, others are connecting to Sweet Savannah. It just, you never know what's going to connect to a reader until you put your art out there.
Okay. All right. And is there any, to you, when you look at your four characters, have you decided hey, this is my end goal with this specific one, or is that still kind of up in the air? Because I understand you're still writing it as you go on a weekly basis.
I haven't even written. Today's Sunday. After this interview, I will write tomorrow's episode.
Then we'll make this a quick interview. Otherwise, there'll be some disappointed people. She spent way too much time with Mark.
I know. No, I write it and then I'll send it to my editor. She'll have it back to me tonight or tomorrow morning, and it'll be great. So, I mean, they're fast. You got to remember, these are, I could spend 2-3 hours writing that episode, have it edited. She probably edits it in an hour, and then I spend another half an hour on it with the edit. So, I mean, it's a process, probably an episode anywhere from the whole process start to finish, I would say takes me maybe 5 to 6 hours each episode. So if I focus it on that, I, just spend those days devoted to that time. And that's what I do. That's my system anyways. But as far as the characters and their end goals, I definitely have like these flickers of visions of where I think it will end up. But because I'm a pantser, I write as the muse, gives me the story. It could change. And I'm okay with that. And I like that this platform allows me to have that freedom to just write what I want to write at that time.
Okay.
I don't have to be stuck in this motion where, oh, motorcycles are really hot right now. Let me do motorcycles. Like, no, I just don't care. I've never been one to fit into a box when it comes to trope or any kind of what's hot right now. I just write what the muse tells me to write, what I find interesting and what I want to read, and hope that it also is things other people want to read.
So what is one thing you're definitely not going to put in the marriage auction? Like, you're just like, this is something that I don't like to touch. It's just, I feel uncomfortable. Like, what is it? Like, is it too dark? Is it too, what is it that you just be like, I am not putting this in?
Darkness is, I'm not a dark writer. So I definitely have like moments of darkness as far as backstory or, kidnappings, things like that, but not darkness in a sexual twisted way. Typically there are backstories that have that darkness, but I don't visit them. I don't go into detail in any kind of like sexual assault. Typically that's not something I want to write about, and people don't want to read that. I don't do any form of...
Some people, because I have seen some stuff on Kindle Vella, and those who are watching know exactly who I'm talking about.
They shouldn't be doing it then, honestly. I mean, for me, I'm not going to write something that is disgusting. It won't happen.
Right.
It will never happen. Yes, there was, Ruby has a backstory where she was used by her stepfathers in her past, and part of her surviving and taking control of her life was her quitting school, going to work, and paying off her mother to not have these men abuse her. Right. And that is crazy.
That's pretty dark stuff, right? If you think about it, really, and it really happens in the real world too.
And it's unfortunate that I've know people that these horrible things have happened to. So it's like one of those things where it does happen. You want to make it visible, but you don't want to glorify.
You don't really dig into it. You're like, this is what happened.
Any kind of assault, you know what I mean? Okay. I want to show that Ruby is a survivor and she is in this marriage auction because it's her choice. She's choosing to take this route to make a better life for herself. And
all right.
It's empowering.
So let me ask you this. I know this isn't going to happen, but if you had to write one more episode, you only had one more episode for marriage auction, how's it going to end right now? Just, you got to end it in one episode.
I'd marry them all.
You'd marry them all?
Heck yeah, because everybody wants to get the marriage auction.
They all want their cold $3 million?
They all, at least, some of them went for higher. You didn't get to the actual auction.
I did not get to the auction yet.
There's some serious money to be had in the business of marriage auction.
Clearly. I need to get me all married or auctioned.
Exactly.
So moving on, what do you think it is that's causing the marriage auction to be so successful? Like, what is it that you think that you've executed very well that's really helped you out?
I think I definitely converted my readers. That was a huge thing. Each author, if they converted their readers, they're going to get more likes, they're going to get more reads, they're going to get more unlocks. And I really promote the fact that you are no longer waiting for a book from me. You get something from me twice a week, no matter what. And it's not insignificant. It's a full chapter that actually details a full scene in that story that is enough, I think, for people to be happy for now. They have like a set scene, they're into it, they feel good about it, they know what happened to that character, and then they look forward to the next happening in a week or two. And that's something I think that's really powerful in everybody's story, is if you can treat this as serialized fiction instead of a novel, because a novel has a lot of chapters that are purple prose, with the flowery stuff, with really intense descriptions of the scene, where in Vella, you can't do that much of that. You cannot be super wordy with what you're sharing with the readership, because you're not gonna have enough time to show
it doesn't
what
work
you need to show in a small bite in comparison to a 5,000 word chapter.
No, you're absolutely right. And I've noticed that too, reading Bella's, like certain ones, there's just some are really long and time is spent on certain things. And you know what? And that's the thing, Audrey, you mentioned is you kind of, your readership, you know where they're going for. there are readers who do want 5,000 word episodes. There aren't as many, at least to me. I don't think that's the case.
I think
but do they exist? Sure.
in a novel.
And this isn't it. That is not the same thing. So
because
let's see.
In my normal novels, so what I've done in Bella specifically is my chapters tend to be I want to say, I always shoot for between 1,800 and about 2,700 words. I try not to hit the 3,000 mark, and I try not to go below the 1,700 mark, just because I feel like you get a good amount in around a nice 2,000, 2,500 words. That shows to the readership enough of the scene and the character dialogue and the experience to feel as though they got something out of it. But it's also cheap as hell. It's 20 to 25 cents if you're looking at the tokens. It's literally, you're paying cents via 100 words. You're paying 1 cent for 100 words. If you're getting a 2,500 word story, you're only paying a quarter. That feels like you got something worthy. Whereas if you're playing a game, Candy Crush, Homescapes, all of those, you're buying tokens to get boosts and things that decorate your house. This is actually something you get to keep, and you get to keep it forever. It doesn't go away. It's yours. It's in your Kindle content. I actually went into my device on my account online on Amazon.com just to see where all these episodes go. Every single episode I've ever downloaded is there. So if I want to go back and read from my computer, even if for some god-awful reason Bella disappeared, those would still be there. I still own them. They're still mine.
Huge. So
if you're getting ready to ask something sketchy,
now comes...
aren't you?
Oh, no. I'm not saying sketchy. I don't got any sketchy. Hold on. I want to check if I go to the sketchy department. No. I really want to talk about romance for a little bit. What are you kind of seeing with because I'm assuming you've been reading some of the romance authors on Kindle Vella. What are you noticing both that's working, that you like, that you see that's good, and what's working on the other end of the spectrum where you're like, oh, this is classic, kind of mistakes?
The biggest
what are you
mistake
seeing?
is treating it as a novel. People are using this platform as a work in progress, which I am too, to an extent. They're just not realizing that if you're not familiar with writing in this manner, a novel, if you're not used to writing from start to finish like this, it might not work for you. You might need to have more content prepared in advance and then go live with it regularly instead, like you would a novel. Like a novelist tends to write, has the book done, edited, finished. It's finished months and months before it ever releases out into the public. This is on the go. So if you're releasing on the go like I am, you need to be very conscientious of the fact that you have to keep that thread going. So a lot of people are losing plot. They're trying so hard to keep things going that they're falling off on the arc of the actual story, on where it's cresting and where it's falling down. I mean, if you're not going like waves through your saga, it shouldn't be like this.
And
this is not how.
And you should have a high point on every episode
this is
too.
Not how your mountain should look in your arc. It should literally be like this when you're doing serialized fiction.
Like a sound wave.
You've got to have waves. So if you're, you got to a climax and then you're like, okay, great. But now the next 10 episodes are kind of down here, you might lose readers. And I think that that's what's occurring is people are finding that, 10, 15, 20 episodes in, they're losing readership because they didn't keep the excitement going. Almost look at this as if you're watching a TV episode, like say Chicago Fire. If that show does not have a fire in it, I'm like, what happened?
You got they gave you
I'm like, I'll give you one more shot to impress me. You know what I mean? But in Bella, it's quicker. So you're dealing with readers that have tons of content they can go check out. You need to try to keep it as interesting as possible every episode. Even my beta readers are like, oh, you could have added more of this and I would have been happier. And I'm so conscientious of the fact that one day this is going to be a full-length saga. So I definitely need to have a balance of both. So that's definitely one of my advices. I'm seeing a lot of paranormal, which is really, really cool. Paranormal and fantasy are super hot right now. I even have my own little on the side that I'm considering busting out, but I feel like it's a commitment. People don't realize how much of a commitment paranormal is. If you look at books like from Nalini Singh, who I love, or like Rebecca Zanetti, who wrote Wolf in the series, in the saga, you're going to see how paranormal is done and how it's done well. And there's a very big difference between building that world slowly the way they can. Oh my God, I cannot believe that I did not turn off my phone.
It's all right. My birds just fell down. I'll just address them.
Yeah, go address them. Oh my goodness.
Well, no, they didn't fall down. They just flew down from their little spot over on my shelf. Where are you? Come here.
Oh, wait, you have a bird.
Sometimes they get excited.
Walking around?
Yeah, sometimes they just... All right, now it's fine.
I'm so
all right.
excited.
Well, they just hang around loose for the most part.
That's awesome.
Well, so I have a bookshelf, and they have a little spot on it, so they're just free. I mean, yeah, their cage is in back. That's where they sleep so that they're nice and safe. But otherwise, if I'm down here, I'm just like, go have a good time.
I'm going to have to edit all this out.
Nope. Because you know what? I don't care. Like, it's totally cool. The people who watch the people who watch my videos know I have birds, and they know they make a lot of noise sometimes. So if they don't like it, they can whatever.
So we were
anyway,
talking about paranormal romance, and I think that's really hot.
Books
right
and
now.
stuff.
It's really hot right now.
Mm-hmm.
So if people are writing in that genre, it's awesome because there's a lot of good content out there. But there is some content where people are not really building their worlds well. And paranormal, you've got to have killer world building in order to be successful.
That's absolutely true. Because here's the thing about paranormal. It moves into the fantasy component. So you have to, I mean, you're drawing from other pieces and parts.
Realms,
it's really difficult.
Powers, all of those things really should be, kind of thought out in advance. So if you're a pantser, that can be hard because if you like to just fly by the seat of your pants the way I do, it's not going to be easy if you're writing a paranormal because the odds of you remembering all those little facets are slim to none. So definitely plot out a little more when you're working on a paranormal.
Well, exactly too, because for someone, because I typically write more in the fantasy world, I'm thinking more like I have rules, I have to establish these rules, and then I can't break these rules. So you got to be thinking further, like, well, what kind of mechanics can I bring over, and what's just going to break everything? And what do I got to kind of avoid?
Prophecies, and you know what? I think that for me, when it comes to paranormal and fantasy, I always have a war between what is pretty common in those universes versus what are you kind of stealing essentially from other authors that came up with some really cool stuff. So that to me is a very scary world to enter into, paranormal and all of that, because some things are, mythology that everybody knows, and other things are really specific details that an author came up with that was so super unique. And then when you see it done again, you're like, hey,
I've seen this before.
That ain't nice.
So
yeah.
What is it like to be you? Because I know a lot of people, they put people up on pedestals, and a lot of people who are, again,
I couldn't even climb it.
Well, okay, so everyone knows you. You're number one bestseller for New York Times, USA Today, and there was something else I saw. But here's the thing: you're a normal person. Yep. You have kids. You have a family. You still wait in line at the grocery store, right? Right. So, what's it like? Tell me what your day is like.
Today it's Sunday, so my kids, I can hear them literally both playing video games. I have two boys, 14 and 10, and they're playing video games with their headsets on, and they know that I've already told them I'm on a video. So I'm hoping you guys aren't hearing them yell because I have an office that has no doors, and normally they're at school. So
right.
On a Sunday, you can hear that. I've got my dog hidden outside. He's vicious when it comes to anybody who wants to deliver a package, like Amazon Prime. He's like, no,
never deliver a package to me.
You're lucky that he's outside with the blinds shut. Otherwise, he'd be barking up a storm throughout this whole call. I think my husband's doing yard work actually, and then I'm gonna write, like I said, after this, and then we're gonna barbecue some tri-tip for the family and have family dinner, and I'm gonna read tonight. That's literally my day planned out.
And now, are you getting calls from people like, okay, we need you to do this? Do you have to drop writing for something else, work on other things? Like, is it just like an organized mess?
The person who keeps calling is my dad. No joke. It's because he wants to talk to me probably about the last episode because he's a freak and started reading my work, and now he wants to talk about it.
Now, is he one of your beta readers?
No.
Or he's just a regular reader?
I know, maybe I should. He'd be happy.
That way you can nip it in the butt before it goes live. Because once
right?
it goes live, you're just like, well, it's already out. Deal with it.
But that is a good point. When you bring up beta readers, I do want to tell authors that I send my chapters to my beta readers. I have 6 of them. Well, one of them is my assistant. So I have 5 beta readers and an assistant. I send it to them before I send to my editor. And they read it typically within a couple hours and give me back feedback. So I'm getting that live reader feedback on an episode. So if they're just like, ugh, this is awful, or something's wrong, or yeah, it was okay.
I expected better.
I got one that's like, could have been crazier.
Well, and here's the other thing too, and I'm glad you brought it up. I have beta readers too, and I always tell them, like, please, my soul was ripped out the first time you did my book. Yeah. My soul is gone. I would rather have honesty and good criticism, because I mean, they're your first and only line of defense before they get to your real readers, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and
we've got different. You've got to have different ones. Like, I have a nurse as one of mine, because people get hurt in my books, and I need to have that medical knowledge and expertise ready to go at all times. I also have women of color in my beta team, because I want that sensitivity readership for the different. I'm not a woman who only writes, Caucasian characters. My characters are typically very diverse. So I like to have a good beta group to ensure that I'm not saying something inappropriate or unintentional. And then I've got like my cheerleader. I've got my, you got your hype person, your hype woman, the one that's always hyping you up, like, oh my God, everything's amazing. It's so great.
Do these beta readers know that you're calling them this? I'm just curious. I'm asking for a friend.
Do they know if they're watching these? They will watch these after.
Okay. So the cheerleader one knows she's the cheerleader?
Oh, for sure. I think that
I love it.
Who the cheerleaders are, who the ones that's the most critical. I've got one that always tries to figure out what's going to happen next. And so it's really cool, because she does this thing where she's just like, I'm envisioning this happening with Faith, and I'm really curious to see if it's going to happen. And then maybe while she's continuing to read, it does happen, or something completely different out of left field happens, and then she's more excited because she couldn't come up with the answer for it. So I like to use those people as ways to change the story as well.
Well, and I found that out too. You have, like, I don't want to call them advanced readers, but people who read a lot, and they kind of do what an author would do when they're reading, start dissecting stuff, try to predict it, and you're almost like, I really want to prove you wrong.
Yep, absolutely. The second they believe they know the answer, I'm like, no, I've got to make a change.
That. Yeah, tweaking that up. All right. And what is something, like, you're writing? Obviously, you've been writing for a long time. What is something that kind of stress you when you're writing? Like, this, is there a sticking point? You're like, you might pine on some for like a day over, or you kind of over that now?
No, I think that happens all the time. Because I'm a pantser, I'll write myself into a corner, and I'll be like, how the hell do I get myself out of this now?
And how do you get out of those corners?
Some of them you just don't. Some of them you just have to accept it, and you have to, like, go with it. Like I told on the last interview I did, I really stupidly wrote 2 British brothers, and they're all posh and rich, and I'm like, why did I do this to myself? I don't live in England.
I find them annoying. I don't like them.
That are English. This is not something I'm super familiar with. So it's constant research on this instead of just letting it flow. I have to really truly look at every word they say in a different manner. They're not going to say garbage, they're going to say rubbish. And if you're in their headspace, it's even worse, because they're thinking differently than American would think. So I do have my marketing guy. It happens to be British, so I run things past him, which helps. And my editor actually is really, really good about all different nationalities and knowing language very well. She teaches creative writing at UCLA. So, I mean, she's a really good editor. And so I'm lucky in that regard, but I feel like that makes those episodes harder to write and more of a, I have to write that today.
Like a total slog. So what you're saying is 2 British guys are about to die in this book. That's what I just heard.
I'm like, who's still alive? I mean, she already was like, if you're having really that much trouble, she's like, you can always make them go bankrupt, and then, and I was like, I could totally get out of it. Good
idea. But no. See, that's my answer every time. I'm like, just kill him off. Nobody liked him anyway. All right. So here we go. I do have a few. We basically wrapped up with everything I have, but I have a few questions from some of the people on my Discord group, and they wanted to know from the marketing end, what social media sites are kind of giving you the most success, and why? What are you kind of seeing out there? Because as you said, your fan base is super important, but overall, what else do you find is really giving you guys a lot of traction?
I think that first it was teaching my readers how to use Vella was such a huge thing. I did little videos that taught them, hey, you go here. This is how you download your tokens. Here's my episode directly. Go click on it. This is how you see it on your phone. This is how you see it on your computer. We really did a lot of that the first month. But now we use Facebook ads that also go on Instagram. I have videos now that I've been doing, little videos of each character, just to kind of tease them a little bit more about what the character's like, who they are. And it's like TikTok sized, 60-second videos. I think I have a couple, maybe 2 or 3 minute ones that we put out there. But I created a Facebook page for the marriage auction. It doesn't have tons of likes on it, but it's a way for me to actually communicate with them. And the biggest thing is I talk about it every week. I don't just let those go and then it disappears. And if people click on them, they click on them. No, I go show character inspirations. I talk about how they're in episode 10. Check it out. This is going to be a big deal. Or, your favorite characters coming up next. That has been a huge thing for me, is just really engaging the readers about the story. So if you engage your readers about your story and it's ongoing, there's no reason why they can't consistently talk about it.
Okay. All right. I kind of already covered that. Good job. Just pat myself on the shoulder already. That totally wasn't expected. Actually, this other part was already covered too. Episode length. So I'm saying that's pretty.
Well, think about it. If your episodes are like 3,000 to 4,000, that's going to look at 30 cents versus 40 cents versus 50 cents. And then if they're too small, how is it possible that you're getting enough content to excite a reader enough to want to keep reading?
You're right.
I'm not going to pay 7 tokens for 700 words and have been fulfilled. I just don't see that fulfilling a reader. You need to have something meaty happening in your episode in order to keep them interested.
I mean, if you can get someone excited about something in 1,000 or under words, great. If it's great content,
better than me.
Well, and here's the thing too, and I'm thinking about it, if the content's good, it'll get somewhere. Yeah. Even if you are absolutely unknown or whatever, you just got to keep working on it, and it's like a total grind. And a lot of people are in there too, because there's plenty of competition to get where you need to be. But still, it's one of those things you got to keep going. And you got to keep trying different stuff too. Like I'm trying a romance, and I've never done it before.
Use the author notes. Make sure you're talking to your readers. These people are wanting to know from you what you're going through. And that's my funnest part, is using the author notes. And I think that's what's unique for sure to Vella, is that you can actually, and you can change it and make sure your stuff is edited. I'm an endless drain on people when I talk about editing, but seriously, I know, Mark, if you read through the first 4 episodes, you're not going to really find many errors. And there's a reason for that, because I pay for editing. And sure, I might miss a word or I might misspell something and my editor might miss it, but I go back and fix them. So even though if someone tells me even now on episode 7, you misspelled talk, I will go back into episode 7, edit it, find that, fix it, and it's fixed for life. So, and it's easy. You can do that. A lot of people weren't sure you could go back, edit, and then republish. It literally just refreshes, guys. There's no problems with it.
I have absolutely done that, because I did that whole world building thing. Remember how we talked about where you break your own rules? Yeah, I did that, and I had to fix that. So that was embarrassing, but you fixed it.
I need to go fix. I think I named a character Alexandria and then changed it to Alexandra without an I. So I need to go back and literally search every episode to find that word.
And for most people, they may not even notice, but for those who do, it's like, oh, gotta fix it. Somebody did, which means there could be more. So actually, we're basically done. Is there anything else you want to say?
I want to say, keep plugging away, guys. This is so new. don't get, disheartened because you didn't get any likes in that day or you didn't have any reads. Keep plugging away. This is so new. You're going to get more likes, more readership. Talk to your readers online. Make sure you have your Facebook, your Instagram, your TikTok, your Twitter, your, Pinterest. Use social media. It's free. That's the easiest way to get likes, is by constantly promoting. If you look at my Instagram and you go through my feed, I would say the first like 50% of the images are going to be marriage auction, because that's what I'm focused on right now. Mm-hmm. And you're going to see that throughout all my pages. You're going to see me online on things like this. If you guys can do podcasts or videos with awesome guys like Mark, do it. Get yourself out there, because the only person that's going to promote you is you. You are what is selling. So sell that story, sell it to your readers, and have a little mercy and grace with yourself, because we're not all going to be number one. And guess what? I'm not going to be number one forever either. Every day I obsessively check to see if I'm still number one. So if you think you're not going to be able to beat me one day, you will. It's only a matter of time before things fluctuate again and more readers get excited about more of your stories. So right now I might have the top. I'm going to keep fighting you for it, but I'm happy to have competition.
Look at this gangster over here. She wants to fight you.
Yeah, let's
just heard it.
I mean, I'm ready. Let's have some battles up on the top episode. I would love to see it go like this for a while. That'd be fun.
Make her sweat every morning. Well, awesome. Well, that is it. So I have at the end of this video a ton of stuff. I've just asked Audrey the most random questions I possibly could. So please sit tight, watch that. It's just comical if you ask me. And that's it. Thank you, Audrey, for joining me.
Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate it. Everybody, good luck on your stories and your journey, and we'll see you next time.
All right, and that was my interview with Audrey Carlan. Sit tight, because here are my rando questions that I decided to ask her. Audrey, if you had to pick one utensil for the rest of your life, fork or spoon, what's it going to be?
I would pick a fork.
Why?
Because I could cut easier with it, I could stab with it, and I wouldn't miss out on things like soup.
Because you can drink the soup, right, and then you fork it. Okay, very good. You can order a one-topping pizza. What's that topping?
Pepperoni.
Okay. How spicy do you like your salsa?
I have been really into the hot ones lately. That show, I think it's on YouTube and on TV. And so
really?
My husband and I have been buying the hot ones, like list of hot sauces. So we've gotten to about, I want to say 150 on the Scoville scale as far as heat is concerned. But we normally don't do it as salsa. It's like burritos, So salsa, okay, I would say, is more, as a Californian, it's something that you want to eat it versus burn your tongue off. So I prefer medium if I was going to go salsa. So
you guys are just kind of like moving up the scale together?
Yes.
I like that.
We have the 2 million Scoville one that they promote that's supposed to be really tasty, but it might burn a hole through your tongue. And I'm a little afraid of it. So I'm not quite ready for that level of pain.
Danger, right? All right. Let's see here. When you were a kid, what did you want to be?
I actually wanted to be a clarinet player in the Disney orchestra band, the one that played for all the movies, because I was a clarinet player. So it was one of those things that I thought, what's the biggest you can be in clarinet? And to me, that was playing for Disney for the movies.
So how far did you get up?
I played for about 14 years.
Okay.
Clarinet.
But you didn't make it. Didn't make it to Disney though.
22, I was just kind of like, I need to do the real world, and I kind of left that to the side.
Okay. All right. You can create a holiday. What would it be?
Oh, a holiday? Oh, I would do like Artist Day.
Okay.
I would love to have.
When would it be too?
Be completely just everybody's focused on art. It's Art Day. Everybody's sharing their art, sharing their beauty. That would be something I think would be really, really cool.
And when would we celebrate this Artist Day?
Definitely in the spring, because the spring is beautiful.
Perfect. Okay. You have a superpower. What is it? And don't make it like Superman where you have lots of powers. You just kind of get one.
I would say probably invisibility.
Okay. Because any reason why? Or you're just going to be sneaky?
Like, go anywhere, see anything, hide, disappear.
You're not going to do creepy things like Hollow Man, right?
I've never seen Hollow Man, so I don't know what that is.
Oh, that's a 90s movie. I think it's Kevin Bacon. It's in it. In case you want to check it out.
Everything is 7 degrees from Kevin Bacon.
There you go. I'll feel really bad if it wasn't Kevin Bacon now. I'm just going off memory. When you were a kid, what was your favorite TV show?
A child or like 18?
Let's go with something under 18. So
Under 18.
0 to 18.
I loved Who's the Boss.
Okay.
I was totally, Samantha. Into Tony Danza and Melissa Milano, Judith Light. I love
Tony
that.
Danza.
Sorry about that.
It's all right. I remember Tony Danza. Those are the days.
I didn't realize that I did not turn off my landline. I apologize.
It's all right. In fact, I like seeing that some people still have the landline.
I'm kind of a freak about the landline because it's a safety measure for me. It's one of those things that you want to make sure that you're safe at all times. And I want my kids to be able to, because they both don't have phones. They're not old enough for that yet. One is 14 and he has a phone, but the 10-year-old, we have a rule. You don't get a phone until you're in junior high. So we want to make sure he can call if there was a need or, something happens to me and he can use the phone. I know it's silly, but power goes out. What are you going to
do? And it reminds me of, was it like the Scream movies or something where they, they cut the phone line though?
Yeah. Exactly. Scary stuff.
All right. Board game. You're playing one. What's it going to be?
Oh, favorite board game I would probably say was Clue.
Clue? All right.
I love whodunits.
Favorite pastime? Is it playing the clarinet?
Now it's reading for sure.
Now it's just reading?
I'm a voracious reader.
How many? 2 a week? That's what I heard you say.
At least 2 weeks. That's pretty standard. But that's because I've been into fantasy lately and those suckers are like $500-600 a book.
And that was my interview with Audrey Carlan. Consider subscribing or at least watching another one of my videos that YouTube recommends. Peace.